If you're trying to decide when to take the LSAT, don't worry, the January LSAT is not too late. Hey, what's up everybody? Steve Schwartz here from LSAT Unplugged, joining you today to talk through LSAT test dates and the law school admission cycle. Before I get into it, a little bit about LSAT Unplugged. We offer live online classes via Zoom, on-demand video courses, small group coaching, and one-on-one coaching. Check out the links below this video to find out more and to book a call with me and my team. We'd love to help you out. So the reason I'm making this video is I've been getting a lot of questions from students asking me, is the January LSAT too late to apply this cycle? Do I have to wait an entire year to go to law school? I'm here to tell you today, there's good news, the January LSAT is not too late. Yes, maybe 10, 15, 20 years ago, the January LSAT would have been relatively late in the cycle, your odds would have been lower, less scholarship money available. None of that is true any longer. The law school admissions cycle has shifted later and later in recent years, meaning the January LSAT is totally fine. It's smack dab in the middle of the admissions cycle now. And so, if you could gain a few points more on the LSAT by taking the LSAT in January and applying then, versus rushing it and taking it in November instead, it would be well worth your while to give yourself those 2 additional months of studying to take the LSAT in January and apply then, rather than rushing it to get it done in November instead. In other words, it's much better to apply to law school a few months later with a higher LSAT score than earlier with a lower LSAT score. So think about this. If you could take the LSAT in November and get a 170, but you could take it in January and get a 175, you'd be much better off taking it in January, applying 2 months later, and sending in your application with a 175. Law schools are not evaluated by US News on when applicants apply, but they are evaluated on the LSAT scores of their matriculating students, those who end up going to their law school. And so there is no reason for law schools to privilege those who apply relatively earlier with weaker numbers. So in other words, don't rush your applications, don't rush your LSAT score. Your legal career, your legal education is too important to rush the process when you could get a much stronger application and a much higher LSAT score by giving it just another couple of months. So if you're thinking about November versus January, again, to sum it up, it's much better to apply to law school a couple months later with a relatively higher LSAT score than earlier with a relatively lower LSAT score. Now, the other parts of your application may be relatively fixed by this point. Your undergraduate GPA, likely pretty fixed. Your resume, work experience, letters of rec, relatively fixed as well. Yes, of course, you could keep working on your application essays, and you should, but the number one factor in the admissions process always has been and continues to be your LSAT score. So don't rush the process. Take the time to get the highest LSAT score possible and maximize your odds of getting into the best law school possible. There will be scholarship money remaining for those who have the LSAT scores, and law schools would love to give that money to you to help boost their numbers, their medians, their US News rankings. They do still care about those rankings. That has not changed at all. Anyway, folks, that's all for now. I hope you found this video helpful. If you did, please do me a favor, share this video with someone who needs to see it. I don't do any advertising for this channel. I rely only on word of mouth. So if you know anyone out there who's considering November versus January for the LSAT, anyone applying to law school this cycle, please share this video with them. If you found it helpful, they may find it helpful as well. Anyway, folks, again, that's all for now. In the meantime, I wish you all the best and take care.